Hello. Welcome back to the studio tonight. Tonight we're going to paint another Falcon. I've already done this out. Normally I do it in pencil. Today I've done it for some reason in ink. And I'm just going to jump right in, dropping in some color. This is a little bit of yellow ochre here. Getting in its wings. And I should mention today's painting is going to be done very much so wet in wet. A little different than my normal style. I'm going to be getting everything very wet and letting the color meld all around and hoping to control it a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Here we go. So what I've done so far is I've just put a little bit of ochre on the breast and on the stomach of this bird. Now I'm mixing up a little bit darker color. This guy is sitting on a big old rock down here, maybe a ledge or something with a bird he's captured in his talons below him. I'm just going to drop in some colors. This is a little Van Dyke brown, a little raw umber, and a little alizarin crimson thrown in there. I'm just kind of making up my own color for these rocks. I think they need to be a little bit red. That red will, of course, bring it a little bit forward in our picture and make sure that it's in our foreground, even if we don't have our values any different. Okay, now while everything is still wet, I'm just going to go in. I'm making my own gray. And this seems to be some kind of quail or small bird that he's got there at his feet. And I'm just going to drop in some basic colors on this. The underside of that bird is a little bit lighter than the gray feathers on its backside, so I'll drop in that little bit of light. Okay. Now I've used the ochre for an underpinning for this Falcon. I'm dropping in a bit of Van Dyke brown here for its wing, its top wing here, and graying it down a little bit for the underside of that and also for the underside of the tail feathers. And I'm just going to look back into my photo that I took this from, and anywhere I think there's a little bit of dark, I'm going to drop that color on. And I'm just going to let them run together. And while that's doing that, I'm going to very carefully put in a little bit of blue here. That will be our sky color. And I think I said, oh no. I said very carefully. Let me just pick that out a little bit. There we go. I had a little bit of run. We're not going to worry about it. We'll blot it up and move right on along. I want a little bit of stronger color right around this bird. I want it to be the focal point, and by putting some strong color right next to our bird, we're going to guarantee that he's going to be our focal point. So I've mixed up my blue color. Is that what I think that is? I've mixed up my blue color. Yep, looking at it. I did it again. Oh. Well, what are you going to do? We'll blot that out just a little bit. Actually, I don't mind if it runs a little bit. It's going to give a little bit of life to this painting. As I was saying, I'm working with a Viridian and French ultramarine. I'm just varying those two colors a little bit. Now I want those to spread out behind that bird back there, so just a little bit of water. And just coming back to the bird, it's started to dry a little bit. I'm adding a little bit more shadow to it. There we go. And again, my shadow at this point is still yellow ochre. I'm going to put in some of the darks on my rock. I don't know exactly what this rock looks like, so I'm just putting it in any old way, shape, or form. Round swirls, straight lines. This rock is going to do what it's going to do. All right, I know I've got a few shadows on this prey bird that's laying on the rocks there, so I'm going to put in some darks for it. and just spread those around. Here we go, just there we go. Just making sure we get some in our round shape. He's got a little bit of red on the top of his skull. I'm going to drop that in and just continue to lay in some paint. I'm not worrying too much about strict form or an exact look. I just want to get some color down there. All right, his wing is drying a little bit. It's not too dry. So I'm going to drop in some additional color, and that's going to really make that a bit more vibrant. I stepped down a brush size here so I can get in a little tighter space, do a little bit more detail, not too much. And I'm just putting in where I think there's some detail on this guy, where I think there's a shadow on him. I'm just going to fill that in a little bit. Here we go. I'm going to mix up a little bit of a yellow for some of his beak there. Very little bit is all I need. Don't want his beak to be totally yellow, but that yellow will help lighten it up when I get a different color, a little darker color on it. And mostly mixing my own gray. I'm going to put that on there, being careful to leave a highlight on his eye. That highlight is going to go a long way towards determining the attitude of this guy. And there it is. I need to dry it off. I'll be back in 1 second. Here we go. I'm back. And I've let it dry completely. I'm just going to go back and with a smaller brush this time, I'm going to start to fill in a few more details, not totally worrying whether I get everything exactly right. I'm just going to put it on there and have the faith that by the time we're done, everything will turn out right. Mixing a little bit of this color, and again, dropping in what I think are some feathers, just to give that wing a bit of texture, and not worrying whether it's exactly right or whether it's wrong. I just want to get some texture on there. And I'm just ever so slightly putting a little bit of water on there, making sure those run together. Darkening up my shadows back here on his tail, on the underside of his wing. There we go. Now I did put a bit of a shadow on his leg there. I'm going to correct that in a second. Just touching up the colors here and there. I like what we've done with it. But again, I'm just going to drop in a little extra color, a little bit of shadow, make what I have there stand out, darken the darks, leave the lights where they are, and we'll go from there. And now I'm going to spread out this color just a bit. There we go. Get rid of that stark waterline. We don't need that so much. If we have a little bit of a line here and there, that'll be fine. But you see, as we go back in and we drop in a little bit of water and take that hard edge away, we come up with a bird that really looks nice, exactly like what we want it to look like. All right, I'm putting it a little bit more dark in this rock. It just doesn't look like it has quite enough texture. I'm mixing my own gray here, reds, greens, blues, all together. That's going to give me a nice gray. I can alter it with the amount of red and the amount of green that I put into it. I can make it browner or grayer as I go along. Just dropping those in and trying to have a little faith that when I'm done it will look like a rock. Here we go. Adding a little extra darkness, a little extra shadow to the bird that's laying there. We know he's got a round body, so we need to give him shadow on the underside. and let it stay light on the top side. And there we go. And I'm just going to draw in a few flecks here and there to make it look like he's got feathers. All right, let me mix up a little extra gray for his beak here. I want to strengthen that color. There we go. And I left a little highlight on that beak there. You can see the sun bouncing off a part of it. And just darkening, again, part of that eye, not the entire eye totally. Here we go. There's the beak on the bird at his feet. All right, and a few lines, a few indications of some feathers on there. And already it's looking more like a bird at his feet. Now I've got to come back, and we all know hawks have little bits of flecking on them. I'm guessing that helps give them some kind of camouflage somehow. I don't know how it works, but I know it's there. Everyone I've ever seen has it. So I'm just going to drop some on him. I'm being careful that when I put that on, I want to keep it going in the direction of the contour of his body. You know, I thought I'd put some on underneath his beak there to make that darker. It didn't look good. I'm just going to pick it off, let it blend in. It'll all work out. Here we go. We've just got a few. I want to put a little shadow line underneath his wing there. I don't necessarily want to touch the brown. I want to leave a little bit of a highlight, but I do want to get just a bit of shadow under there. Drop it on. Some lines for the feathers in his tail. Something behind his back leg to differentiate his leg from his tail. There we go. And it's all coming together. I'll bet you 10 minutes ago you didn't see that coming. Oh, no, no, no. I forgot to put in some sky. What was I thinking? I'll just mix up a little bit of this blue, a little bit of the Viridian, a little bit of French ultramarine. There we go. Just kind of get it to somewhat match the sky on the outside. And there we are. No harm, no foul. A little more ochre on his leg. And there we go. We're pretty much done. That is our hawk. If we put a frame around that, it looks pretty good, right? Yes. Yes, it does. All right, so there we go. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just going to sign this one and call it good. If you want to see another bird, drop me a line. I would love to paint one for you. This is my hawk. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.